I'm Tracy Walker, and today I'm going to read a chapter from my book, The Cards I Was Dealt That Transformed My Life. And today's chapter is going to be chapter 14. Self-love lifts me higher. As I continued on my journey of discovery and came to know myself and who I wanted to become, I met the most amazing person, and so began a love story. It really began when I decided to join a group called Mingles. Single men and women would come together looking for company in the safety of a group. Of course, single mum raising 3 children on her own needs some adult company from time to time, and this was where I was at. Being brave, I booked a place at the singles dinner at the local golf club. When I arrived, everyone was encouraged to mingle before sitting down to dinner. I surprised myself by chatting with other attendees, and I realised I wasn't that shy little girl anymore. I could carry on a conversation, and more importantly, I found I could walk away if I wasn't interested. I knew and honoured what I'd accept and not accept. We were all allocated to tables and seats that were arranged in boy-girl fashion around the table. After a while, a guy arrived and sat down beside me. We got talking, and as the night went on, I asked him if he'd like to dance. "I don't dance," he said. I wondered why a man would come to a dinner at a club knowing there would most probably be dancing if he didn't dance. I started to doubt myself, falling into old ways of thinking. In the past, I would have thought it was obviously my problem that he didn't dance. I would have given up on dancing myself. But out of the blue, my new way of thinking said, "Fine. Everyone has a choice." Hearing that voice in my head gave me courage. I turned my attention to others in the group, enjoyed my meal, and chatted with other people at the table. I also danced. It was a wonderful feeling. Not only the dancing, but the fact I'd taken control of my outcomes. I was stepping into becoming the person I wanted to be. I was becoming confident and sure of myself. As I continued to mingle and chat and dance with others, this man eventually asked me to dance. I was able to say yes because I was in control of me. I didn't have to punish him for saying no when I'd asked him, and I didn't have to punish myself. I made a decision for me based on what was right or wrong for me. If I wasn't comfortable, I could sit down after one dance. It was empowering. I got to dance with many men over the night. I was a member of Mingles. It was all part of the process of discovering myself and discovering what I wanted in a man, in a relationship at that time. It wasn't so much about finding a man, but about learning and experience the feelings and the emotions. Ultimately, I was trying to figure out what I was looking for. In Mingles, there was a group of girls I got along well with. We made a rule that we all went out together and we'll all come home together for safety reasons. If you found someone you really liked, you got their number and followed up at a later date. There was one time I did meet someone who became obsessed with me. He wanted my number and I wasn't comfortable giving it. He then tried to convince the organiser of the group to give him my number. The organiser didn't give it to him, but that didn't stop him. He managed to piece together some things I'd mentioned and then turned up uninvited to our church to an event for my children. It scared the crap out of me. I asked some friends to tell him I was going back to their place after the event. I drove a number of ways home just to check he wasn't following me. It was a lesson for future situations. I'd been in controlling relationships and I definitely wasn't going down that path again. Thankfully, I didn't see or hear from him after that. Today, I wouldn't have a problem telling him his actions were unwanted and inappropriate. As I attended more singles events, I no longer latched onto anyone who showed the tiniest bit of interest in me. Those days of low self-esteem were in my past. The belief that people would leave if I wasn't their doormat was gone. The thinking and the behaviour that always led me to disrespectful relationships was gone. I'd grown so much I refused to waste time talking to men who were there for one thing. I didn't want or need a man who required someone to look after them without nagging. I wasn't going to be the needy one, and I refused to live in fear of being left alone. I was an individual who had things she wanted to do for herself, and I was interested in finding a man who could join me on my journey. So back to the story of love. Who was that amazing new person I met? It was me. I'd finally met this person who loved to give things a go. She was up for some things. She was up to having fun. She knew she didn't have to include alcohol to give her the courage to step outside her comfort zone. She'd been there all along, and I was happy to have met her after all of these years. Since then, the new me had done amazing things. Hot air ballooning, cave rafting, parasailing off the top of a snow-capped mountain, tree surfing, the list goes on and on. The freedom and the excitement of these experiences make me know I'm alive and tell me that all things are possible when you change yourself to do things differently. Above all, I realized that I could never give love before because I didn't love me. I had to learn to love myself first. Of course, like many love affairs, this attraction did not happen overnight. Like any relationship, it had its ups and downs. There were times I could almost envision two little gremlins, one perched on one of my shoulders. They'd sit there whispering at each other, a never-ending dialogue of disagreement. I'm just as pretty as she is. No, I'm not. Men will choose her any day. I don't care. I don't have to fit in with others. I say that because I'm weird. I don't drink. That's why they don't like me. I have to do better. I'll have to take the next step. I'll give them my phone number. I'll sleep with them. No, I don't need to do that to be liked. It's my body. I get to choose what I do with it. And on that, and on, and they'd go until I decided to shut them up, until I decided to listen to the positive voice in my head, even if it made me uncomfortable by telling me to go outside of what I knew and what was familiar. If I wanted to be a person going forward, I needed to listen to the new voice in my head, even as it argued with the old. Yes, you can. The new voice would say, no, you can't. The old voice would whisper back, listen to me, said the new voice. No, listen to me, argued the old. Over time, the whisper that told me I couldn't change has faded, and the whisper that said I could has become stronger. The old voice is still there, but now I choose not to give over to its pull. Instead, I acknowledge the old voice because it's part of who I am. But I know I don't have to listen to it. I have a choice, and the tools of my programs and modalities are there to support me to succeed. I also keep people around me who support my new way of thinking. If I hadn't, I'm quite sure I'd still be stuck back in the days of my stinking thinking, back when failing myself and self-sabotaging my chances were okay. Still, those habits were so ingrained in me, I had to work hard to overcome them. At the end of the day, though, it is and will always be up to me who I listen to. More and more opportunities came my way. I went out, I met people, I tried new things, and the whole time I had my new voice cheering me on. Sometimes even now I think back to the teacher who asked me what I wanted to do when I graduate, and how I realised that I'd never given myself the opportunity to think beyond the now. It's different today. I'm always considering my opportunities and my possibilities. I don't let fear stand in my way. I have a fire inside of me pulling me to that more. Why? I came to the conclusion that it must have been because I was now open to taking this new and exciting path, even though it scared the socks off me at times. I started believing that I was worthy of having amazing things happen to me. Down inside the deep, dark depths of my subconscious, something was trying to emerge. I didn't know what it was, but I knew its message was, you aren't meant for greatness. But to my social group mingles, they were such a great bunch of people, very supportive and always looking out for each other. One night after a wonderful evening, we made the decision to make a real night of it, something we only did on rare occasions. A few of us decided to venture to another venue after the singles dinner to dance the night away. We found a table. It was a really long one. One of the guys in our group sat right down the other end from me. We talked a bit over the course of the night, but right now the time was for dancing. It was a great night. I danced with so many people and got to know them a little more. During a short break, I saw his hand waving from the other end of the table. I looked up. Dance? He mouthed, pointing to the dance floor. Why not? Something sparked inside me while we were dancing. At the end of the song, we sat down again and made the decision to explore our connection further. We ended up laughing and chatting until the end of the evening. There was a connection there on a much deeper level than I'd experienced with others. Do you want to go for a walk along the beach? He said. I'd love to, I said. We walked and talked on this beautiful moonlit evening until 3 o'clock in the morning. Before we went our separate ways, He gave me his number. This was something I'd never experienced before. Someone was really interested in me. Normally it was the other way around. I'd changed so much. And the reflection of that time, what I'd learned by stepping outside myself and embracing experiences I'd never imagined myself doing or having, was that all things are possible if you know how to tap into your personal and internal power. Before gaining this knowledge, I was exciting. I was just exciting. I was doing the same thing over and over again, every day. I was living in a default world. Science has proven there is a strong link between your mind and the world around you. If you know how, you can align your mind with the creation of greater health, happiness, and fulfillment. It works if you work it. As I stepped further into this thinking, I was, and still am, truly amazed at how things happen to come to me with very little effort on my part. In the past, I lived in fear. I wanted good things to happen to me so badly that I pushed and I pushed to make them happen. In the end, though, what I was actually doing was pushing people and things away because I could only see things one way, my way. Now, I know I didn't have to try harder. All I have to do is to go within my own personal power and listen to that small voice. The answer will come to me every time. I'm blown away when my answers appear and life gets easier. It doesn't matter what you are born into. We all have a choice of what the ending can look like. What is your vision? What does it look like for you? It can be anything you desire. It is not about someone else. This is your dream, and you can design it any way you like. It starts with taking that first step and saying yes to yourself. And the quote I'll leave you at this chapter is, "Respect yourself and others will respect you." Confucius.